I am so excited to share with you today my lemon bar recipe. This recipe is so good. I'm not kidding you. Every time I make it for a group of people, I have at least one person requesting the recipe. That's how good it is. What makes this recipe really nice is that you do not need a mixer at all. It's all by hand, and I consider it a year-round recipe. Lemon bars are fantastic to add to your Christmas baking. They're great with Easter and spring, barbecues in the summer, you name it. All year long, every occasion, lemon bars fit in, and especially when they're this good. They're not dry, they're not hard, they are soft, they're ooey and gooey and filled with flavor, because we will not be using any artificial flavors with this recipe. They are all real. Only one tip I have for you today: do not over bake this bar. If you over bake it, it will become dry and harder. When you pull it out of the oven, what you want to look for is that the top has started to brown and the edges start to pull away a little bit. It's kind of like a brownie that way. When you see that happen, you bring it out, and then you must let it fully cool. Again, because it's not going to be hard. It's going to be still quite moist, but once it cools down, it becomes like, I guess I could say like a pudding, like a thicker pudding. So as you cut your bar, it will stay together, but they are very soft. Now, one thing that I really like to do for this recipe is I like to line my pan with parchment paper. I just put butter down first so that it sticks in there. Now, you do not need to do this if you do not want to. Just grease your pan. But I do prefer to line it for two reasons. Number one, if I choose to cut the bar in the pan and store it in the pan, I can. I don't have to worry about damaging my pan as much as I would if I didn't have the parchment paper in there. The second reason is if I want to pull it out and cut it as a whole, I can very easily with this. So I prefer parchment paper. If you do not, just butter it up. Okay, that's all I have for you with tips. Here is what you will need to make this recipe. As previously mentioned, a 9x13 pan. Now for the base, 1 cup of salted butter, 2 cups of flour, and a 1/2 cup of icing sugar. For the filling, you'll need a bunch of lemons. I often find that 2 lemons are enough because you're going to need 6 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. You also need the zest of a whole lemon, 4 large eggs, a pinch of salt, 2 cups of white sugar. You're going to need a 1/4 cup of flour, and you'll want to sift because you want to sift that in so there's no lumps. A 1/4 teaspoon of a baking powder, and then once it's finished, you'll dust it off with a little bit more icing sugar. Okay, so first things first, we need to preheat our oven, and we are going to preheat it to 350 degrees. Once the oven is ready, once your pan is ready, next step is the base. The first step with the base is to measure out 2 cups of flour. We're gonna just drop in the flour in a way that makes it nice and airy and fluffy, and then level it off. Next ingredient, a 1/2 cup of icing sugar. Last but not least, 1 cup of salted butter. We're just gonna cut it in till it resembles more of a crumble. If you do not have a pastry cutter like this, just use your hands or a larger fork. Unlike scones, the butter doesn't need to remain cold with this recipe, so you don't want it melted, but it's soft, and so your hands are an option because it doesn't matter if the butter warms up a little bit more. Once it looks like that, we are ready to press it into our pan. You're just gonna try to make it as even as possible. All right, it will look something like that. Now we're just gonna bake this in the oven for 15 minutes. While the base is baking, I am going to work on the filling, starting off with juicing the lemons. We need 6 tablespoons altogether, and like I said before, normally 2 does it. Shocking how many seeds some lemons have, right? All right, now the eggs. 4 large eggs. Oops. Go fish out that shell. Now may the whisking begin. We have to whisk these up until they become a little bit fluffy. All right, good enough. Next ingredient, 2 cups of white sugar. Give that a little whisk. Time for the zest. See if we have enough of the lemon juice. 6 tablespoons. I should maybe put this in a mug. Hold on. Oh, okay, wow. A little got in. That's okay. All right, 1, 2, 6, and a little to spare. Put that in my water later. Yum. Next up, 1/4 cup of flour sifted in, just so we don't have any lumps. And 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And a pinch of salt. Give it one last mix, and the base should be done really soon. There we are, it's ready. I have about 1.5 minutes left for the base to finish baking. Once it's done, we're gonna take it out of the oven and pour this on top right away. Smells so good. We're just going to pour it over top. Kind of levels itself. This will now go back into the oven and bake for another 25 minutes. It's done. This is what it's going to look like. Golden brown on top and the sides just starting to pull away. All right, now, next up, first thing we have to do is sprinkle it with icing sugar. I do a generous dusting. You do what you want, but I like a generous. Because too, as it cools and if some absorbs in, you'll still have a nice amount showing. All right, now we're going to let it cool completely. This is the hardest part. We need to let it cool. It takes quite a long time. You could leave it overnight if you want. For me, it's just noon. So this evening I will cut in and I will enjoy some probably for dessert and show you how it turns out then. It has been almost 4 hours and I am too impatient to wait any longer. I want to dig in and see how it turned out. Hopefully I'm not being my own worst enemy here. Yay. All right, I'm gonna come around the front and cut it up. I did put it in the fridge for the last hour, so sped up the process a little bit. Oh yeah, so good. The ends are always gonna be more cooked than the middle, so let's see how the middle's doing. Perfect. Okay. Just come back to this side so you can have a look. So you can see here that the filling, or it's not filling, but the topping is very soft and like a pudding, but baked all the way through, so it's firm. Boy, am I glad that was fully set before I I cut it up. I'm just so impatient. I love these so much. I was like, I'm sure it's good. What a relief. The kids are gonna be so happy to be able to get these for dessert too. They love them so much. For storing these, if it's winter and your house is cold, they can sit on the counter for a couple days. Currently it's summer, it's hot, we have very high humidity. I am not gonna store these on the counter. They will sweat and they will turn and go bad a lot faster. So I highly recommend, if it's warm for you, the fridge or the freezer. They freeze amazingly. What I recommend is cutting them up beforehand into sizes or chunks, like serving sizes, individuals, or chunks that you know that you are going to use all at one time, and then put them in the Ziploc freezer bag or container with a little bit of space in between each of them. And if it's in a bag, then remove the air so that they don't go together and stick during transportation. If they are in a container, maybe parchment paper to separate them. And of course, if you're gonna layer them, parchment paper as well. But trust me, these do not hang around long. One tastes like a second. You want more and more. They're perfect. They're so vibrant in flavor. You got the shortbread crust, the soft, chewy lemon, so good. I really am sure you're going to love these, so I hope you give them a try. And thank you so much for watching this recipe. I hope that you do try them, that you love them as much as we do, and that you will come back soon to see what I'm baking up next. Bye everyone.